Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Big Fight Fuel channel, where we speak the truth, we're honest, and we give our takes on the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins had a very busy week, with it being the beginning of NFL free agency. We are going to recap everything that happened this week. I figured that while I'm on vacation, I'm not going to have time to go day by day in what's going on in Dolphins free agency. And I thought it would be better to just recap everything that happened throughout the week. And I don't think they're done. I still think there is work to do. But as for right now, we are going to talk about players that are gone. We're going to talk about players that are brought in for the Miami Dolphins. I think they had a very good free agency. It's nothing too crazy. Um, I think that the past two off seasons, Chris Greer has hit absolute home runs in acquiring Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey on this team. And I think this year, with the amount of cap money they had, um, they hit doubles and they hit RBI doubles. And that's okay because what the Dolphins needed to do going into it, we knew that we were going to lose players. We were going to lose Christian Wilkins. We were going to lose Robert Hunt because the Dolphins and Chris Greer were not going to pay those guys the amount of money they were asking for. And we are going to go over what kind of contracts that they got. And I swear to God, there's like 5 players that the Dolphins just signed that are equal or less than the total money than what Christian Wilkins got paid by for the from the Las Vegas Raiders, or what Rob Hunt got paid by for the Carolina Panthers. We're gonna get into it all. I thank you guys so much for joining me on this Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, wherever you may be. If you haven't already, for all the wrestling fans out there that subscribe to my channel, yesterday I did a recap of everything that happened throughout the week of professional wrestling. I hate combining AEW and WWE videos together, but don't you worry, because next week this week coming up, we're going to be back in normal business. We're going to have AEW on Wednesday, and then I don't know how much we're going to do next week because of March Madness. March Madness starts on Thursday, and I'm definitely going to be watching March Madness. So we'll see how much content we do next week. It's probably not going to be much if we're being honest here, but let's not waste any more time, and let's get into the free agency. We're going to start with the players that the Miami Dolphins lost in free agency. The first player to go out the door for the Miami Dolphins was Brandon Jones. He signed to a 3-year, $22.5 million deal with the Denver Broncos. Now, Brandon Jones, he's a good safety. He was a backup for the Miami Dolphins, but he had to play a lot of games last year, whether it would be injuries to Deshaun Elliott or it would be an injury to Javon Holland. I thought Brandon Jones had a good season last year. I really liked what I saw from him. He is starting safety caliber in the NFL, and he's going to be the starting safety for the Denver Broncos now, because the Broncos cut Justin Simmons because they have to pay Russell Wilson $37.5 million, even though Russell Wilson is not even on the Denver Broncos anymore. So that is their mess that they have to deal with, and they pay Brandon Jones $22.5 million for 3 seasons. And as much as I like Brandon Jones, he's a good safety. He was good when Elliott was out. He was good when Deshaun Elliott was out. and he was good when Javon Holland was out. He is not worth $22.5 million. So I can't get mad about that one right there with Brandon Jones. I can't get mad at Chris Greer not wanting to pay him that type of money. So he was the first person out the door. This is the biggest one for the Dolphins. Christian Wilkins. He is no longer a Miami Dolphin. Okay. He is no longer a Miami Dolphin. There's a video that came out on Thursday. He made it official with the Raiders, and he did the whole catchphrase, Raiders, and I mean, that was just absolutely depressing to watch. I love Christian Wilkins. He was the heart and soul of that defense, and he's absolutely going to be missed. His presence is going to be missed. He is a really good defensive tackle, and he's going to kill it in Las Vegas. And I am upset about this one. This is one that I'm upset about, that the Dolphins couldn't get it done with Christian Wilkins, not particularly this offseason, but last offseason. They waited to pay Christian Wilkins, and they wanted to pay Christian Wilkins. I think the first number was like 19.5 per year, and Christian Wilkins was like, no, I'm going to wait, and I don't want that. I want to set the market at defensive tackle. And then they offered him $22 million a year. And he said no to that one too. So then he was holding in at camp while he was not getting paid the money that he wanted for the following seasons, and they couldn't get it done. And this one's on Chris Greer. This one is on Chris Greer because they waited too long to work on extensions for Christian Wilkins, and he came in in 2019, I think, and he was a part of the first season with Brian Flores. He was a part of the rebuild. He's been there since day one, and they just let this guy go on out and go wherever he wants. They waited too long, in my opinion, to extend Christian Wilkins, and with the cap hell that the Miami Dolphins were in going into this offseason, they were not able to pay Christian Wilkins. Therefore, Christian Wilkins left, and he's now a Las Vegas Raider. The Raiders pay him 4 years, $110 million. He is getting wide receiver money, and he's no longer a Dolphin. He's no longer a Dolphin, and I'm going to pull up his message that he said this week. If I can find it right here. Christian Wilkins. There we go. This was the tweet that he put out earlier this week. He said, 5 years ago, the Miami Dolphins took a chance on me, and I'm forever grateful. My goal was to always leave the city and organization better than I found it. It's been an absolute pleasure to call it home. I proudly close this chapter knowing I gave this place all that I had. Miami, you will be missed, and you'll hold a special place in my heart forever. It's no more Finn time was his hashtag. And he's now a part of the Las Vegas Raiders. And, it's very sad. He was the heart and soul of that defense for years. And as I said, he's been there since day one. And it's very, very upsetting to see Wilkins walk out the door. And now they have a huge They have a huge hole that they have to fill at defensive tackle with him gone. And we're going to talk about that after we talk about the players that the Dolphins lost. The next big one, this also hurt because of the contract that he got offered. Andrew Van Ginkel, he's no longer a Miami Dolphin. He signed a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Minnesota Vikings. I find it hard to believe that the Miami Dolphins wouldn't pay Andrew Van Ginkel this contract. He was great last year for the Miami Dolphins. He was great. And whether it was Jalen Phillips that was out or they needed him in other situations, he was phenomenal. I remember the Sunday night game against the New England Patriots, how great of a game he played then. And the rest is history, man. He had a great season for the Miami Dolphins, and it's a damn shame to see him out the door, and he's no longer with the team, and he's now back with Brian Flores. He's reuniting with Brian Flores under his scheme and what he wants, and he's going to be missed. Although the Dolphins did replace him, which we'll talk about that later. Right guard Robert Hunt is no longer on the team. He signed with the Carolina Panthers. 5 years, $100 million. Folks, I can't get mad at that. I cannot get mad at Chris Grier for not wanting to pay a guard $20 million, $100 million in 5 seasons. I can't get mad at that at all. And he's not even an all-pro guard at all. He's not worth that type of money. He is not worth that type of money, folks. He's just not. He's a good guard. He was good when he came in 2020, but he's not worth $100 million. That would have been an absolute overpay for the Miami Dolphins if they decided to pay Robert Hunt $20 million a season. So I can't get mad at Chris Grier about that at all. That doesn't upset me at all because I actually would have been upset if the Dolphins were in cap hell in the future because they paid Robert Hunt $100 million. So I'm not mad about that at all. Defensive tackle Raekwon Davis signed a 2-year, $14 million deal with the Indianapolis Colts. Again, I'm not mad at that. Raekwon didn't really do much for us, and he's going to be another hole we're going to have to replace on this team. This one upsets me, and I'll tell you more about it once I take my dog out of this room really quickly. Okay, I'm sorry about that. My dog was biting the chair underneath it, and I didn't want the chair to rip, so I had to take her out of the room real quick. But this next one I'm a little upset about, even though the Dolphins did sign a safety. Deshaun Elliott to the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 years, $6 million. This frustrates me. You're telling me you couldn't pay Deshaun Elliott $6 million for 2 seasons? Are you kidding me, Grier? This guy was great when he was on the field last year. Guess what? If Deshaun Elliott doesn't make that goal line tackle against the Dallas Cowboys, we might have not made the playoffs last year. Okay? The Dolphins, they might not be a playoff team last year if Deshaun Elliott doesn't make that goal line tackle against the Dallas Cowboys. And then on the next play, the Cowboys fumble. So one of the reasons you won that game was because of the goal line tackle by Deshaun Elliott on Tony Pollard. I'm upset about this one. I can't lie, especially with the way the Ravens ran their safety tree last year. They had Marcus Williams, they had Kyle Hamilton, they had Geno Stone. They had a really nice rotation of safeties last year in that defense, which Anthony Weaver, the new defensive coordinator for the Dolphins, was a part of. So I thought that he would want to bring over another safety, but he's out the door. And he's with the Steelers. And I'll tell you what, the Steelers got a good one. The Steelers got a good one for sure. So that's all the players that the Dolphins lost. And this is what they have for it, which I think has been a very good free agency. I thought overall, with the players they lost, they had a good free agency. Was it great? I wouldn't call it great. I'd call it very good. The first move that they made was they signed Jonnu Smith, 2 years, $10 million. And I actually have to attend something real quick. I'm very sorry, but I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I apologize on that one too. I had to attend to my dog. I heard her barking outside, so I had to get her in the house real quick. So, back to where we were. These were all the players the Dolphins signed in free agency. The first move they made was signing tight end Jonnu Smith to a 2-year, $10 million deal. And he is the new starting tight end for the Miami Dolphins, which I love. I love this move. And I love this move because he can do so much things in this offense. He's good blocking. He's good in the screen game because you know Mike McDaniel loves throwing his screen passes. He's good in the open field. I like this move. And I'll tell you what, you can't really test how bad he was in New England because New England had such bad quarterbacks when he was there. And last year, he signed a 1-year deal with the Falcons, and he had his best season ever. Last year, he had his best season in the NFL playing with Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. So I think he is going to be just fine with Tua Tagovailoa, who led this league in passing yards last year. So I love this signing. And I think it was Greg Olsen that said that the Dolphins need a tight end to evolve in this offense. And he says once they do that, they can go places. And I think this is just going to be another good target for Tua Tagovailoa. And they did not target Durham Smythe in the red zone at all. And hopefully McDaniel is done with the fade routes because they were done to abomination last year. They were done ridiculously, too much, to the point that it really was a part of costing them games. The Titans Monday Night Football game in particular. But he's a red zone threat. He is a red zone threat. And this team did not throw to Durham Smythe once in the red zone last year. So this is a great move for the Miami Dolphins. Really quickly, we're going to go over players that were re-signed by the Dolphins. They re-signed cornerback Elijah Campbell to a 1-year deal. They re-signed punter Jake Bailey to a 2-year deal. They re-signed cornerback Nick Needham. The deal was not explained, so I don't know how long it was for. They re-signed offensive guard Robert Jones to a 1-year deal, which something tells me he's going to be a starter next year. Something tells me going into 2024, he's going to be a starter. So, look out for that one. He was solid when he came in and started last year. When Robert Hunt got hurt, but I look for him to take the next step forward in this offense. So they re-signed offensive guard Robert Jones. They re-signed Savon Ahmed to a 1-year deal. I'm sure he's going to have a phenomenal preseason to make the 53-man roster. They re-signed tackle Deshaun Hand to a 1-year deal. More defensive tackle depth for the Miami Dolphins. Then we get into the players that they signed. As I just said, I just brung up Jonnu Smith. They signed linebacker Anthony Walker to a 1-year deal. And what I've heard from social media is he is good when he's on the field, but besides that, he cannot stay healthy. And that's right up Chris Greer's alley, man. His first year with the Browns in 2022, he played 12 games out of 17. Last year, he played 4. So, the guy's injury prone. That's right up our alley. But it's more offensive. It's more depth at linebacker, which I don't have a problem with. They also signed another linebacker, and this is the biggest deal that they gave out in free agency. The Dolphins signed linebacker Jordan Brooks from the Seattle Seahawks to a 3-year, $30 million deal. Actually, it did come out as $30 million, but it was 3 years, $26.5 million. So now he's getting paid around $8.5 million per season. And he is your replacement for Jerome Baker. This is Jerome Baker's replacement, folks. He's in the building, and Jordan Brooks had a great season for the Seattle Seahawks last year. He got a pick 6 on Thanksgiving night against the San Francisco 49ers. He made some big-time plays on that Monday Night Football game where the Seahawks defeated the Philadelphia Eagles. And he's fast, he's physical, he's good in coverage, and that's what I like. He's not great stopping the run, but I heard he's good in coverage. And I really like this move. I think he's better than Jerome Baker, folks. We're going to find out very soon. But, you can just go back and you can watch his highlights for the last 2 years. The dude he's good. He's physical, man. He's a hard tackler. And this team needs dogs. They didn't have enough dogs on this team last year. And now you got 2. You got 2 fucking dogs at linebacker with David Long Jr. and Jordan Brooks. I think this is awesome. I think this is a great signing by Chris Greer, but it's not my favorite. It was, but it's not my favorite. They signed center Aaron Brewer. We learned yesterday in his press conference that he pronounces his name Aaron. So that's gonna take a long time to get used to. So they signed center Aaron Brewer to a 3-year, $21 million deal. He is a vast, versatile center. He can get out there. He can run. He can block. And when we were reading the PFF stats, he is ranked 11th out of all centers last year in the NFL. He had a PFF grade of 73.1, which is 7th in all centers in the NFL. Or not 7th, 11th in all centers in the NFL. He's not as big as other centers are. He is 285 pounds, but he's fast. And this team, they need blockers who can get out there, who can run and push people to the ground. But because of his size, the main concern is him in the passing game. He was not great in the passing game last year, going to protect Will Levis. He was not great in that. So I'm sure that's something that Bush Berry is gonna make him learn, and they're gonna make him better for it. And we've seen what Bush Berry could do with fucking Liam Eichenberg last year. Liam Eichenberg, he had a okay season, I guess. It was definitely his best season out of the 3 seasons we've seen him in so far. But we've seen what Bush Berry can do with guys like Liam Eichenberg and Robert Jones and Austin Jackson. You see the bag he got. I think this guy will be just fine. I think this guy will be just fine. What does that mean for Connor Williams? It probably means Connor Williams is not returning to the Dolphins. As soon as Connor Williams tore his ACL on Monday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans, I figured that they were not going to re-sign Connor Williams because of his torn ACL. So I like this. I like this signing. Then we get to Tuesday. They sign linebacker / edge rusher Shaq Barrett to a 1-year, $9 million deal. I like it. It's depth. He's not going to start forever, but I'll tell you what, he is going to start when he is going to start in the beginning of the season when Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb aren't going to be ready for the start of the season, because you got Jalen Phillips coming off a torn Achilles and you got Bradley Chubb coming off a torn ACL. So they still need edge rushers, that's for damn sure. But this guy's coming in on a 1-year prove-it deal for depth. He's 31 years old. They didn't overpay for him. I wish I overreacted with this tweet, but I would much rather have Andrew Van Ginkel than Shaq Barrett. I overreacted and saying Shaq Barrett better than Andrew Van Ginkel, but then I quickly deleted that, like about an hour or 2 hours later, because I'm thinking about this. This is a good signing because they need depth, but it's nothing to do a backflip over or anything like that. This one I like, though. This one I really like. The Dolphins signed safety Jordan Poyer to a 1-year, $2 million deal. Love it, man. They signed him to a cheap contract. They tried to get it done last year. They couldn't get things done. He signed back with the Buffalo Bills, and now he's a Miami Dolphin. He wanted to be here last year, and he ended up going back to the Buffalo Bills. They lose to Sean Elliott. They lose Brandon Jones. And now you get Javon Holland playing alongside Jordan Poyer. But this team still needs depth at safety. The Jordan Poyer's not enough. And from what I'm hearing, the draft class for safety is not that strong this year. It's not that strong. So if there's still safeties out in the market that Chris Greer can go and sign for a cheap deal to pair along with Jordan Poyer, I think he should do that, because what the Baltimore Ravens did last year, what worked beautifully, was they had a great rotation of safeties with Marcus Williams, with Kyle Hamilton, with Geno Stone, and they were very successful at doing that. And Anthony Weaver, he's coming over from Baltimore. Maybe he should incorporate the same thing here. Let's get a safety rotation going in, man. So, but I like this deal. I like this deal a lot. 1 year, $2 million for a guy that has wanted to be here, and he's taking a pay cut to be here. I love it. There's other places that could probably pay him more money, but he wanted to be. Jordan Poyer wanted to be a Miami Dolphin. And what's so awesome about this is how damn salty the Buffalo Bills fans are from this signing. I fucking love it, man. They signed quarterback Saran Neal to a 1-year deal. Cornerback, special teams specialist. He was great on special teams for the Buffalo Bills, which is definitely what they need, because the Dolphins' special teams was not good at all last year. So I think this is good, because they need help in the special teams department. They signed defensive tackle Neville Gallimore to a 1-year deal. More depth at defensive tackle because Christian Wilkins is gone. They signed defensive tackle Benito Jones from the Detroit Lions because, again, Christian Wilkins is gone. They need defensive tackle depth, but I would be very upset if this is the answer at defensive tackle. My guess is that the Dolphins are going to address defensive tackle come the draft. I think I think one guy to look out for is Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy from Texas is one guy to look out for. I haven't done much research about the NFL draft, but when it's close to draft time, I will. But I think the draft is going to be where the Dolphins address defensive tackle, because they need it now that Christian Wilkins is gone. They also signed tight end Jody Fortson from the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is the last signing that I have that the Dolphins made. The Dolphins made no moves yesterday. That doesn't mean that they're not going to make any today or tomorrow. And if there are any big moves that the Dolphins made, I will be back here talking about it. But on Thursday, I should keep going to spring training games this time of year during free agency, because last year when I went to a spring training game, the Dolphins traded for Jalen Ramsey. And this year, on the day I went to a spring training game, the Phillies against the Boston Red Sox, I'm walking out to my car. I'm on my phone, or I get a notification on my phone, and it's from Twitter. And it's the fact that the Dolphins signed cornerback Kendall Fuller from the Washington Commanders on a 2-year, $16.5 million deal. And this, folks, was my favorite move of the offseason for the Miami Dolphins. It was very close. I was thinking about it yesterday. Is it Kendall Fuller or is it Jordan Brooks? I would go with Kendall Fuller. I like that way more, and he's better than Xavier Howard. Xavier Howard used to be a top 10 cornerback in the NFL, but, when they released X, and X didn't want to take the pay cut, and they let him go, I was very upset about it, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I was very upset about the Miami Dolphins cutting Xavier Howard. But it's all good now. It's all good because Kendall Fuller is now a Miami Dolphin in a I don't even know how to say it, a shitty defense by the Washington Commanders last year. The Commanders had the worst defense in the NFL last year, and there was only one bright spot on that defense last year, and it was Kendall Fuller. These are some stats that I have about Kendall Fuller on the PFF page for the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to go find more because I see more that I want to talk about. But now, Kendall Fuller is the sixth most valuable corner in the NFL since 2022, and that is according to PFF WAR. Kendall Fuller has allowed less than 30 passing yards in a game 18 times since 2022. So I'm guessing he hasn't missed a game in the past 2 years. And in those games, he hasn't allowed over 30 passing yards half the time, which that's insane. That is an insane. PFF grades this move fit and need an A and value grade an A+. So even PFF is saying that that this is the best move the Dolphins made all offseason. He's not the best player, but it's certainly a valuable one for the Miami Dolphins. And this is something very interesting that I found on Christian Wilkins. This is on the Fin Central Twitter page. Christian Wilkins got $27.5 million per year on his new contract with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Dolphins got 6 new starters for close to what Wilkins got per year. They signed Jordan Brooks, who's getting $8.75 million per year. They signed Kendall Fuller, who's getting $8.25 million per year. They signed Aaron Brewer, who's getting $7 million per year. They signed Jonnu Smith, who gets $4.2 million per year. They signed Jordan Poyer, who gets $2 million per year. And they signed Shaq Barrett, who gets $9 million for his 1-year deal. So, I mean, that's a good starting bunch, man, for new starters. And you see the role. They're new starters on the defensive side of the football. Jordan Brooks, Kendall Fuller, Shaq Barrett, Jordan Poyer, and then on offense, Jonnu Smith and Aaron Brewer, new starters on the offensive side. Let me see if I want to make sure that I missed nothing before I move on here. Okay, I got everything. Let me find some more stats here. When it comes to good coverage, and Kendall Fuller does have good coverage, Kendall Fuller forced the 4th most tight window throws in man coverage last year. So he's a very good lockdown corner, is Kendall Fuller. Let me see if there is anything else. That's it, man. So this new Dolphins secondary, you're looking at Jalen Ramsey, Kendall Fuller, Jalen Ramsey, Kendall Fuller, Kader Kohu, Javon Holland, and Jordan Poyer. That's pretty damn good, man. I'd say that's a top 5 secondary in the NFL. It's better than last year's. Because we thought that Xavier Howard, coming off the groin injury from 2022, was going to be productive in the Vic Fangio defense. And Xavier Howard was not good. Xavier Howard only had one interception, and he's washed. It was time. It was time to let Xavier Howard go. This organization is going in a new direction, and I think it's for the better. You look at the new starters now. Shaq Barrett replacing Andrew Van Ginkel. Jordan Poyer replacing Deshaun Elliott. Jordan Brooks replacing Jerome Baker. Kendall Fuller replacing Xavier Howard. I think this team is going to be just fine. I really do. I was with most of the Dolphin fans when I had my overreaction, when they lost Christian Wilkins and they lost Andrew Van Ginkel, and then Robert Hunt got the bag. He got $100 million, did Robert Hunt. I was one of those Dolphin fans. I'm not going to shy away from it. I was one of the Dolphin fans that was ready to say this team sucks. But they had themselves a very good free agency. And look, are they a championship contender? I don't think so. I still think there's teams in the AFC that are much better than the Miami Dolphins are, like the Chiefs, obviously, the Bills. Basically, based off last season and the way the season ended, they lost to Baltimore, Buffalo, and Kansas City. So Miami's got a long way to go before they can claim themselves as a top team in the AFC. They got a long way to go. And you still got teams that I would put Cincinnati over them. I would put Cleveland over the Dolphins. I would put Houston over the Dolphins. And then I would probably put the Dolphins as the 7th best team in the AFC. So they're right in the middle of the pack, in my opinion. So, I think they're going to be fine. They need wide receiver depth because they don't have Cedric Wilson anymore. He signed with the Saints. And they only have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Eric Ezukanma coming off a neck injury. Tyreek and Waddle are great, but we need other receivers behind them as well. So we need wide receiver depth. We need offensive linemen, particularly guards. I think that'll be addressed, hopefully in a free agency move or the draft. Defensive lineman is the biggest one that they need, and they need safety depth because I don't think Jordan Poyer is going to be enough. But that's all I got, man. I'm getting out of here. Thank you all so much for joining. Be sure to subscribe to the Big Fight Fuel channel. I have so much planned, man. I said last night on my wrestling podcast that I'm just thinking about not even doing Sixers playoff content just because of how bad they are. I think it would be a waste of time. They're probably going to lose in the first round anyway. So I'm thinking about doing something. I'm thinking about replacing it with something. I'm going to let you know later on. WrestleMania week is coming up. That is going to be a huge week for this channel. As you guys know, we are going to be in Philly for WrestleMania all weekend long. So that is going to be one hell of a weekend and so much more, man. Be sure to subscribe, comment down below. Hit the like button if you like to hear from me. Follow me on Twitter at Colin_Joseph. The next Dolphins video, if there's a huge signing, then I'll probably make a video. But if there's not, then the next Dolphins video I will probably make is the NFL draft. So I'm out of here. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Have a good night. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy. And I'm out. Peace. I'm out.